Okay, Chris, would you like to explain why we're using a different phone this time?
Yeah, well, we ran out of recording space on the other one, like usual.
And I'm pretty sure you forgot what you were saying in the other part.
Pretty much, but
Is there anything to really kind of discuss about survival right now?
well, if you have played Survival before,
Whoops, someone forgot to put the volume higher.
oh yeah, it's right. I forgot.
Yeah, right, because
I'm thirsty.
what?
The game.
Oh, yeah, the game.
Yeah.
Thirsty,
Also,
right.
yeah, thirst, hunger, another big part of this because if you've ever played this game before, you had realized that thirst and then like hunger. I mean, the food that you find and water and everything wasn't really a big part of it. It just gave you like a little upgrade, like a boost upgrade. Just like helped your character, like give you like temporary like skills, and it wasn't really that useful for me. It wasn't. So it just had it there, and when somebody when civilians asked you for help, they just I gave it to them, whatever, got some rewards. But in this game, those two things do play a big role, which is actually if you can see where on the bottom of you was able to see on the bottom. There's like two red things that's pretty much showing your bar, I guess, until you start starving and like dehydrating and everything. But yeah, those are like little minor things. All those things are kind of easy to find, but in some occasions it's actually kind of hard depending on what area you are. Especially the easiest area that I've noticed where you can actually find food and supplies, like medical supplies and everything, is around the southern part, like around here. Like around here, it's like a lot of shelters where I find a lot of medicine, especially mostly medicine around here. But food and water I usually tend to find like around here since it's like a building complex, like a whole entire like just filled with buildings and areas where you're in. But other things that we could talk is the hub is a little much more lower, so it kind of gives you a little bit more of a survival feel. So usually when you're playing the regular game, you could see like an X here saying where you could hide, and then like show you another place where you move around, like another X and a line showing there where you can hold and go.
So it's almost as if they basically took out the HUD entirely.
Yeah,
Even though,
almost
like,
a HUD. It's almost all gun tires.
somewhat, like, you can,
Somewhat.
when you aim down the sights, you can literally see that when it says to show or
Yeah,
whatever.
but it's not gonna show like full thing about the map and
Yeah.
everything. But it's a little more. It's like a cool feature that I do like. You know, I wish it was originally in the base game that you could have that.
Get more of a feel, right?
Yeah, more of like
Like,
a feel,
it,
like
like,
realism. But
I'm not, okay, let's do a little comparison. I'm not sure if you're going to agree with me, but do you remember Last of Us HUD? How it only showed the ammo
yeah,
and the health at the bottom right corner, and everything
yeah,
else no? Do you think it should be something like that? Or
yeah.
something completely taken off, like in Last of Us when you play Grounded or Survivor, when they show absolutely nothing?
Yeah, yeah. I guess I wouldn't mind having that in this game. Sorry for my shooting, but AK-47 is not really that accurate. I'm
Ooh,
gonna die.
you're about to really die. And to my understanding, I'm not sure if I explained the other part of the video since this is a part 2 video. Uh, to my understanding, there's only one thing to do in this game, which is basically just to go into the dark area
Dark Zone is
or
pretty
the dark
much
zone.
where you have to go and find the antidotes. Pretty much, that's pretty much the main thing about it. You just have to like make your way into the Dark Zone, retrieve the thing, and extract it. It sounds simple, but it's really not that simple. It's actually kind of like a little
Yeah,
challenging.
take it from me. If anyone's gonna be a newcomer, this shit is not easy as you think it's gonna
One
be.
one thing I recommend is just play one just fun game to get a feel of it, to see how it works and how everything is, to
And
just know how it is,
and you'll get used to it.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
after that,
You'll really get used to it. One of the things you need to do is what I chose not to. It's not that I chose not to listen, but what I chose to not really take anyone's advice, which is Chris, is move fast.
move fast when you're out in the cold, especially when you're beginning.
Move really
Because as
fast.
you can see all the way on the top right
I'm
corner.
I'm the type of person to look through every single corner, every single car, whatever, to scavenge stuff. Since I played Last of Us, I go look into details. Fallout follows essential. I'm not sure. Skyrim probably too. All those things are
Yeah.
essential to check for everything. But for this game, since the environment is literally the antagonist or
pretty much.
part of it,
Yeah, no. I would say like the environment is pretty much like the main enemy of it.
Yeah, the main antagonist is literally the environment, which clearly shows since on the bottom right, I mean the top right corner, there's a bar that tells you if you're getting warm or getting cold.
Yeah, as you can see, when I'm like really nearby, it says like 40 degrees.
It says 40 degrees,
40 degrees, and
but
then I back away
step
from
away
the,
from the fire, it's
and it
already
goes
dropping minus
-1
21 degrees
Celsius.
Celsius.
And if you see on the left side, it's a -1 with clothing. That's how much my clothing gives me a protection against the winter, I mean the cold. And pretty much what you have to do is you have to try to match that number with the other number on the right to even it out and you'll be warm. But in the beginning, you're gonna be like this -1 of how your clothing is gonna be. So main thing you do is keep on moving around, finding fire barrels and finding shelter to keep warm. But in the meantime, while you're running around, try to scavenge as much things you can, especially food. And when you find these suitcases, you usually find um, clothing, which is actually pretty much really useful because that's one thing that's going to keep you warm. And also, like, if you like to check the clothing, I think you probably might have seen, but I didn't talk about it that extensively. Each one, yeah, I did talk about this. All you have to do is just keep on finding clothing and make sure that that number keeps on going up, and make sure you have every single slot filled up, because if not you're gonna like freeze. Because if now you to look at it, it's now -3. It's a slight improvement, but it's not really gonna help a lot.
One thing I did realize when also playing this too is that you can't really hold much things in your backpack, which is very understandable because it's just a backpack that you have or pockets, and they're trying to keep it as a limit of what you can carry
Right here,
in the
everything.
game.
Right here,
So
all of these things you can only carry a max of 3, except for medkits. You can upgrade that, and the max you can carry in the beginning is only 2, but everything else is max of 3. So you cannot do have to like watch out, but at least the good things that you have 2 things that fill up thirst, and then 2 things for food, and then 2 things for medicine, which is kind of useful, but still you gotta like be really careful of with your supplies in the beginning, especially because after getting a little more into it, you're gonna like have extra. But in the beginning, it's really useful to save as much as medicine as possible. To not use it just because you see your infections going down. Only use it when you have like a lot of like a lot of medicine, because pretty much medicine is the one thing that I would say is mostly important. Oh, I did it. Well, see, I made a circle. Is main thing about it. Okay. See, this we're also gonna find tutorial little notes around. It's gonna help you if you're like wondering. Just pretty much you just find them in each hideout. Just scatter. I mean, just around here. Like there's now right here. This one's probably talking about like the disease and how you can fight it. Yeah. See, as I said.
and these notes are literally just scattered like around different type of shelters, and they're literally the same thing.
It's just
It's the same thing. When I was playing the first time, I went to the first building that we obviously wake up to,
yeah.
and then I was reading the 3 notes of surviving. I think it was environment, fight the disease, and some skill thing.
I can't remember.
I forgot the third one, but I think it
Also-
was some kind of skill thing. And then when I was going to the other ones, I thought it was going to be different, but it turns out it's actually the same thing.
Exactly.
So we'll save you that if you are new to this.
So another thing I want to talk about, each server you jump in is full of people, and you're gonna find around like dead bodies. Like as you can see in the maps, you see the X. Those are all players who have died. And when it's an X, they're officially dead. You can't go and help them revive them. But when you see like a little like um, it's I don't know how to describe it, but you can tell the difference from it. Those players are still alive and they're waiting to be revived. You can either choose to help those players and revive them, and you can create a little alliance, but most people aren't going to really do that. But when you see it like this, I do recommend going to them, because they're already dead, so they're not going to come back. But also what I mean is like when you go there, you can pick up their gear, all the gear they have behind, and it's going to really help, because some people like just walked into a bad area and they could have been loaded up with food, water and medicine, and like better gear than yours, and maybe even clothing, which is one thing that's also key. So if you do end up joining, just beginning I suggest is keep on running around, trying to survive the cold, find warm, any pretty much basic survival like things, and as well just if you see any like dead players nearby you that don't need revive, just go up to them and pretty much take all their gear because you're gonna find some pretty good guns, some good equipment, food and everything. Is pretty much finding pretty much one of these like dead bodies could be a huge advantage towards you, or it could be, or you could just waste your time. But most time it does end up being a huge advantage to your gameplay, which I do kind of recommend going towards it. But also you gotta also like one thing about it that you can see how it says the reason why the death, the reasons NPC. There's all these players have decent different death reasons, and the ones that you probably do want to watch out are probably for the NPC. As you can see, NPC, these ones have died because of the cold, which means they weren't really in a dangerous area. But I mean, if you find NPC, just try to be careful before you rush in there trying to look for it, because as you can tell, it's a lot of fog around that you can't see and see. So it could either be an advantage or disadvantage. This player apparently already got looted, so it kind of put me at a bad position because I'm kind of far away from a safe house and not that well equipped. Other things that I probably would want to talk about is, well, I don't know too much about it, like what I could find that could be really useful towards you in this game. But pretty much, if I do end the remind, it's probably gonna come back to me. But one thing is that if you do have this game and you kind of like just don't play it anymore, and you don't feel like buying the DLC, I can understand. But if you do have like the extra money, I would recommend buying the DLC because it is a pretty neat little DLC. I do like the idea of this. The previous DLC, Underground, I liked it, but it could have been a little much more better than it was. But this one, Survival, so far, it's a really good one. Ubisoft did pretty well on it. I really liked how it kind of captured the survival feel. Maybe not that realistic because of the RPG element already into the game, but I do like the way how you have to find food, medicine, stronger. I mean, pretty much a lot of things to survive the cold. But in all of the thing, like if I were to give this a rating from 10 out of 10, I would probably give it like I would say an 8. And let's just say like 7.5 to 8. It's just there's not a lot of things wrong with it, but I think they could have like at least when you before you enter like this game, more of a better tutorial. Because as soon as like I jumped in, and I'm pretty sure as Paul jumped in, there you were kind of like a little confused and lost on how like what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, I was definitely confused on what to do because I kept asking you, what am I
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah,
do? Even though it was kind of
it's
self-explanatory, get stuff, loot, pick up things from dead bodies. I don't know, like
Find-
just survive
just survive,
basically.
pretty much.
Just survive is literally the title of the DLC. It's called Survival. Just survive.
Also, another thing that I wish that I mean why I give it like an 8 is that I wish like it wasn't just like a server game. I wish like you had the option of like I know that they added a new update where you can change world tiers, so it can either like the whole entire place is like harder. I wish like if you had the DLC already unlocked, I wish like they could just implement the DLC to like the original game, so you can just be walking around and having to use food and everything trying to survive. You know, with all your gear and everything, I think I would have a much more better idea. Cause one thing I do understand is like I understand a lot of people are not going to buy this DLC or probably don't want to feel like buying or don't have the game, and the ones that just have the game but don't feel like buying the DLC aren't going to be like aren't going to be like how do I say this? Well, pretty much what I'm trying to say is that I understand like, why they probably didn't put this like as a single player option, but I wish they kind of did, since since um since it's kind of like a cool feature. And that me in the beginning of when the game came out, I was expecting something like this, and when I was finding like food and water, I thought like there was like a thing of like you needed the food and water in order to like stay a little like not to die. I thought it was gonna be like a part of like a part of like the gameplay, but I was kind of disappointed to find out it's just like little boosts and upgrades. And now with the DLC coming out, I like finding out how you can use that as like survival means. I do like it, and I wish it was put into a single player, but yeah, it could have done a little much more better. So far, like DLC is just how to say, just pretty much the same base game, just with a little different a little different like work done to
Very
it.
similar, but yeah, some
Yeah,
differences
yeah, pretty
from
much.
the original, like the story.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much like
Well, I
just
mean, like this is a you did say this DLC just came out 3 days ago.
yeah, came out the 20th.
It came out on the 20th, so you know it could be up to Ubisoft to actually include it into single player.
Yeah, they
You know,
could,
they
but
could update it, but at the same time,
I
it
don't.
doesn't look like they might.
Probably not.
I'm not doubting that they can't, but at the same time, it just looks like they wanted to do this something multiplayer based instead of single player.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to see a little single player into it, just not fully all the way into single player, but I mean, I don't know how to word it, but I would have kind of liked to see like a single player option for this game, which I would have like really liked because I know for sure that if I was a single player, I would have probably been playing it more than just running around. Because like right now, the game how compared to how it was before to now is way much more better for sure. And if you haven't picked it up, you haven't played it, and you want to think about getting it right now, I do recommend getting it, but it's all up to you. It's just pretty much just be expecting a lot of like unrealistic things. But in all it's just saying, it's just the game originally is great, and with this DLC survival, I do think it made the game a little much more better. Especially it just gives you like a different option from just like being in like the regular open world, just running around, replaying missions and finding supply drops and just pretty much everything else like kind of like basic and regular about it like before. But with this DLC, it's just it did give a little much more like you had a different option to play in a single player with like the survival thing because it this I'm pretty sure this DLC, and I probably am right, that this DLC does, oh shit, it does tie into the single player because pretty much the backstory of it is find the wow, I'm really bad, find the cure for the virus, which is pretty much I'm not gonna really go into a plot of it. It's just pretty much a virus that destroyed New York.
Mm-hmm. And you basically have 1 hour to survive, as discussed, I think, in the other part. If we
Yeah,
didn't, then
right
we're
here
mentioning right
is,
now.
if you can see when I go into the painkillers, it doesn't really appear. But right there you see life expectancy
I'm not sure if you can
36.
see in the video, but I'll try to focus on it. It says life expectancy 35. No,
Yeah,
35 minutes right now. So
And the one you can stop it is by finding painkillers and just medicine. It's just called medicine,
mhm.
and it just pretty much suppresses it. So yeah, it's one medicine is one big thing that you need, and I already know I talked about. But yeah, pretty much I would have to say that's everything I had to say about like the DLC in my personal opinion. I know Paul can't really say too much things about like the thing.
I can't because I don't have this game, nor did I ever play it. So it was my first time playing it with Chris.
So yeah, I mean, for me, when I first played it, first impressions, really liked the idea and the concept of survival and all how it was played in. Like less hub that I did like the like there's no mini map, there's no nothing to pretty much guide you. So I like that. Another thing I liked about this one is how you can start from scratch, so you won't have to like if you do decide if you can play if you decide to play player versus player, you won't be at a huge disadvantage like somebody being level, let's just say like 15, and then against like a player who is like already level 30 with level score 500 and some, I mean 500, 200 and something, which at least it's not a huge disadvantage because everyone starts with same gear and same objective. So I like the idea how it does balance it a lot. Only thing that I kind of am disappointed, just I wish there wasn't like a full-on single-player option about it, and I wish there was more tutorials before you jumped in, because I know when you jumped into this or the game, there was a lot of tutorials showing how to play the game, which I did like, and I felt like it was kind of missing in this DLC when it first started. But in other things, game is pretty good. The DLC is pretty good. Everything about it is pretty much as you expected. The title just pretty much says it all. It's just survival.
Hmm.
Just stay alive as long as you can and try to get the mission done, and
And just basically be
just
successful at
yeah,
doing
try
it.
try to like beat the whole entire thing. But one thing I want to tell you, if you do end up getting this DLC, play one match as for fun, just to test it out, and then the second one, don't rush it. Don't rush it, because that's one thing I
Like
didn't know.
try,
Like,
actually try to
yeah,
do
like
it. Yeah.
actually try to survive. I know you're gonna like it's gonna be a little hard with the finding all medicine and the life expansion, because
Hmm.
that's one thing that really does
Yeah. Like
messes you up.
as discussed in like I'm not sure if it was in the first part, but the starting of this video I think we kind of did it, or
Yeah, I think
midway of this video. Yeah. So basically that's it. 8 out of 10 the DLC review I guess
out
for
of
the
10.
Tom Clancy Division. I'm a newcomer, so I think it is a game worth getting if you're into these type of third person shooters with post not post what is it post apocalyptic.
It's kind of like a
So
post-apocalyptic
sort
New
of like
York.
that. So if you're in type of those, if you like those type of games, give it a try. Buy it. If you already have it, then I myself, even though I don't really have the game, I would probably recommend getting it too because it there's a lot of things I agree that Chris said. It does have a lot of things that you would expect from a survival game. There's basically sort of no HUD, as you can see clearly.
Yeah, well,
There's
the only thing that's showing right now is the thing on the top, and when I'm in the combat, all I point is just my little bar on the
hmm
bottom of grenades and medkits and
yeah.
everything. But when I point away, it's just
The only
flickers away.
thing that I would say the meter needs to be there for the HUD actually, because you need to know when you're actually freezing or not. But at the
Yeah,
same time, they could take it off, and you yourself would have to assume
yeah,
by
like
the body language of your character.
yeah. I mean, you're
If
gonna
you're
start.
cold, you're cold. If you're hot, then you're basically good to go.
Also, one thing I wish they kind of would have added is like by you know how it says like the hypothermia and everything. I
Hmm.
mean, you know how like I wish I could have added something. I mean, actually, no, never mind. It wouldn't make any sense. But yeah, but pretty much what I'm saying, I do like the idea of the the everything pretty much about this DLC just in general. I really do like it better than much more better than the other one, Underground. But yeah, I really don't have too much to say. If I do have something to say, I just keep on repeating myself. But right now, currently, as you can see, I am heading to that thing down there, which is pretty much the dark zone. And right now, in the state I am, you probably think I'm doing good, but right now I'm not actually in a good state because I have really poor clothing support. But you know, just kind of like trying. This is just kind of like a rush type of gameplay, but not really too much like taking my time on it. But all I have to say, one tip I do have to say about this game is try to avoid as much as try to avoid enemies. Pretty much try to avoid enemies, like, especially in the dark zone, because they are going to be a little bit much more stronger than you. Like the regular ones that just have the red bar on top, just you can take them on a head-on fight. Just try to outfight them and everything. But if it is a enemy with like a purple or maybe even orange bar, then run away from them, because they like those guys are gonna destroy you, especially like with what I have right now, current gear, and my my temple gun is just really bad. And as you can see right now, I'm currently freezing, meaning I could die if I don't find a barrel like this one. But yeah, just one big tip I would have to say, like all my tips is just find as much survival gear and try to avoid combat as quick as possible. I mean, as well as much as possible, because
You don't want to waste ammunition and stuff,
yeah,
and you
especially.
clearly just don't want to die.
I mean, the only realistic thing is like the pistol. You have unlimited ammo, but that's just being already in the core game. But it's not gonna do a lot of damage against those enemies that are just like level 30 and
It's
like
a
purple.
weak gun.
Yeah, it's a really weak gun, especially like once you have it. So far, one thing I did find is slightly harder to find pretty good pistols than rifles.
Wow.
Rifles. I mean, there's an okay chance of finding them, but the chances are really like low. Like it's not as easy as you probably would think it is. But main thing is just crafting. Crafting is the main thing about this game. Just craft everything. Crafting is just yeah, pretty much it's just everything about this game revolves around crafting.
Yeah, as discussed before too.
Yes.
We're just kind of rewording some things. We're sorry if it's a little bit repetitive, but at the same time, we're just trying to give our basically full-on thoughts of the DLC, which I'm pretty sure, I think we just touched upon almost every aspect of the DLC. So I'm pretty sure we can just end it off here. So basically, final thoughts. DLC is good. We both recommend it if you guys have the Division. If you guys don't, consider getting it if you guys are into this type of thing.
It's up to you, and not just that.
It's up to you. And this guy's almost close to dying, but either way,